Hello and welcome to The Locker Room. It is a full breakdown of the Champions League final on today's show. The good, the bad and the ugly. We'll be debating whether this Real Madrid side is the greatest of its era. Cristiano Ronaldo used the post-match interviews to cast doubt over his future. Is he up to his old tricks or is he moving on? And we delve into the mindset of Liverpool's keeper Loris Karius now that the dust has settled on the game and his mistakes. We welcome Phil Shane back onto the panel. He was on the call for Canada for this sensational game.
I'll try not to drop it.
Try not to drop it. And let's get straight into it then. Real Madrid's 3-1 win over Liverpool made it 3 straight final wins for the Madridistas. It gave them their 4th Champions League trophy in 5 years. But what makes them so strong in this competition, Ray?
They've got a perfect coach for this collection of players in the Zidane era. The trust that these players put in the man that has what I call the soul of Real Madrid is amplified and extended individually and collectively. Not just in the Champions League either. Let's not forget, he won La Liga last year in an authoritative, dominant way. It's the whole combination of that indefatigable belief and faith and all of that. But behind that, for me as well, this man has just done amazing. You know, his technical know-how, his management of the individuals, the aura of him, all of that plays in. This was not a branding appointment. This was not a cosmetic appointment when they went for Zidane. The president, again, should deserve full applause as well. This wasn't a trusting of the golden jewels of Real Madrid. He saw that this man can take them to a different level, and it needed a specific man.
But
I
Ray,
don't know if he could do it else again. Yeah, just Zidane. But the overall
But you've got to talk
effect,
about the players as well. I mean,
I'm saying that
he's just one part of it,
before
isn't he?
the players, before Zidane came, those same players that you're talking about weren't doing it.
Yeah.
When Zidane arrived, they became an inflated, dynamic, killing machine. And that's the effect. And he elevated every one of them.
But let's just give some of those players some love. I think there's a couple of characters in this team who I would have in my team every day. And people will always pick out Ramos and have a go at him. He'll be in my team. He's nasty, he's niggly, but he wants to win. He's a winner. Cristiano always, he wants to win everything. Yes, there's a bit of an ego thrown in. He wants to win. There's some skill there. There's Marcelo, there's Bale, there's Kroos. There's a lot of players who add a whole lot of difference there.
He's basically went through the whole team, and the one that he hasn't mentioned...
I'm getting there, because you cut me off before I got...
6 players, Gary, and the one that you didn't mention, and I don't think you would have, my friend, is Keylor Navas. And I've went to the wall with this man. I've said he has been as important, Thomas, to me, in my eyes, than Cristiano Ronaldo and this Real Madrid team.
Are they ruthless? Is it a ruthlessness, though, about this Real Madrid team that they go into every game thinking that they're going to win it? In fact, thinking that maybe they've already won it.
It's an arrogance.
There are 4 simple, and I use the word simple, because simplicity is the first thing. He doesn't overcoach. He uses individuals. In this modern era, these are all individual players, and somehow he makes things very simple. 2, he has Ronaldo, the best goal scorer in the world right now. By the way, in 2015, both Messi and Ronaldo, 77 goals in the UCL, 23 since then for Messi, 45 for Ronaldo. Unbelievable. 3, and I think most important is priorities. And we call that macro conditioning. They peak in November and December, and in April and May. And yes, Zidane comes out, I want to win La Liga. They are built to win the big games. FIFA, World Club Championship, the UCL, and at times La Liga.
OK, so Phil, is it the greatest side of its era?
I think it's at least an asterisk, and perhaps even follows in the footsteps of Barcelona. I do think that there's a negative, and you take a look at the league schedule, the league standings, double digits behind. So there's still something to go for. And if you talk to Zidane at the beginning of the season, it was the league they wanted to win. They'll settle for Europe. But when you take a look at what's going on right now, I want to follow up on what Ray said and kind of what you talked about, Thomas. Zidane treats them like people, and you guys were all players. You just want to be told, where do I stand? What do I need to do? And he doesn't sugarcoat it. He's not playing a game. He talked to James Rodriguez last year and says, you know what, we're not going to be able to play you a lot, but when we do, we're going to need you. He talks to Gareth Bale, says the same thing. If you're not willing to take that, the door's over there. We love to have you here, but if you want to go somewhere else, he treats them like individuals, treats them like adults, and it doesn't hurt when you have 20 of the best players on earth playing for you.
Exactly, well said, Phil. And if you put him in any other club, the effect would not be the same in my eyes. So it's a strange comeback. And let me just say this, Kay. When we look at this team, of one of the great teams, you look at the Dutch Ajax team, and you look at Milan in their great days, and you look at Barcelona under the Guardiola team. Is this team up there with the way they changed the game like those three clubs did? Not necessarily. I don't think you can honestly say that. But what they have done is bring in an unbelievable, unshakable faith amongst each other under this coach, Gary. And I think it's just one of those things. In its era, it's unique. It eclipses even those three teams that we had because they did it the Real Madrid way.
It's certainly unique. Is it the best in this era? Absolutely not for me. The best cup side, wonderful. Yeah. Second best team in the world. But the best team's got to be Barcelona.
So what defines what makes you the best of your era?
They're 17 points clear in the league, as Phil said. They played them twice this season. They beat them 3-0 at the Bernabeu. They drew 2-2 at home when they were down to 10 men. Real Madrid didn't even finish top of their group.
But who looks at the individual season when you look at an era as a whole?
See, and I think that's the key also. You look back at the 1950s and 60s, no one asks how Real Madrid did in Spain.
Yeah.
They won 5 European titles in a row. And when the history books come 20 years from now, 30 years from now, they've won 4 of 5. And who's to say they're not going to win next year?
And I put them up right behind that team of Real Madrid. Won 5 with Di Stefano and Puskás right now. And they're not, I know, the innovators. But if you look at trophies alone and the way they've done it, I put them ahead of Ajax early 70s with Cruyff. I put them ahead of Bayern, won 3 straight with Beckenbauer and with Müller as well. And Milan, not as innovative, but to get the job done. By the way, Gary Baily, in the last 5 years, a La Liga tiger, Copa, Super Copa twice, UCL 4 times, UEFA Super Club twice, FIFA World Cup 3 times. Any questions?
Barca in those 5 years won the league above Real Madrid 4 times. Definitely a better side than Real Madrid. Got to be.
It's a good argument to have.
It's a celebratory team.
And they're both great. Okay, they're both great.
Definitely are. Let us know what you think at home. We'll continue that conversation on Friday's show. Now, Gareth Bale might not have been happy having to start this game on the bench, but he certainly made up for it when he came on with 2 goals, the first of them an absolute worldie. Was his goal the best ever in a Champions League final?
Unquestionably for me. It's head and shoulders above anything else. The adjustment was unbelievable. How he calibrated and then recalibrated his whole body and his whole dynamic. The ball from Marcelo, it was absolutely majestic. It's a pass that when you see them play and train at Valdebebas, these players that'll drop those balls into an area, into a scope around them, and let these diamond players like Benzema, Cristiano, and Gareth adjust everything. But the ball from Marcelo as well was applaudable. But the goal was, and let me just say this, that goal, there was 20 passes that led up to that. So it wasn't all just about the great hocus pocus. It was a great team goal, but of course it was.
And it powers in. It wasn't just that he got the timing right and he hits it perfect. It flew past Karius. Karius has just done this, and I mean, it's for me the best I've ever seen.
And despite the 20 passes, it was kind of like, let's poke for a weakness. If you're looking perhaps for the greatest team goal for me, look back, what was it, Crespo in 2005, the comeback for Liverpool, but it was the second goal that was scored. Beautiful run through the middle, gets fed the ball, and it was a great finish. I think against your Ajax, what was it, Ravanelli scored for Juventus.
Yes, he did.
Individual play, stole the ball away, and almost on the goal line outside the box, tucked it in.
This one was a flash of pure
comparison. Really, that came up was a 202 Zidane, obviously, but that was not even close. That left foot, it's a brilliant strike. It's a half volley. This is a volley / bike / whatever. It's brilliant.
Everything.
I dare any other athlete in the world to try to execute this skill.
Just did that
unbelievable. The flying the ball, defenders. Timing, unbelievable. It's just outrageous. A 1 of 5 in the last century to have a brace, by the way.
Round table time. Gareth Bale aside, which player shone for you?
I'm going to go with Trent Alexander-Arnold because I think as a 19-year-old playing in a European Champions League final, he did brilliant. And why he did brilliant? He had to face CR7 for most of the game. He had to face Marcelo coming up on the side. He had to face Bale when Bale came across. And he had to face Benzema and Isco. You're a young lad of 19, and I thought he did absolutely brilliantly well because he could have been seen, and we did discuss, is he a vulnerability up against these legendary players? He didn't let Liverpool down. Other people did, such as goalkeepers, but he certainly didn't.
Thomas, who have you gone for?
The guy that everybody talked about, and correctly so, because prone to mistakes, the Croatian international Lovren was spectacular. And actually, since Virgil van Dijk came in, because it was Matip and Lovren for a while, both just shone in his game, but hey, he was great. How about rising above Ramos to get that to Mane? 2 late tackles to prevent that as well. Brilliant football. And we don't talk about block shots. 3 block shots inside the 18. Lovren, brilliant performance.
I think it's hard to tear away any of the 9 defenders that were out there. I think played brilliantly. But the guy that made the
central ones, especially.
Absolutely. The guy that made the difference was Karim Benzema. He does so much that does not show up on a stat sheet, makes the moves to the left to open the door, on the right for Ronaldo or Gareth Bale. But it was his anticipation. When Karius thinks that he is asleep and just coasting, he pounces. And I think that goal led to Gareth Bale's goal that Karius dropped, and that was the turning point for Real Madrid.
Ray?
I'll go with Keylor Navas. A big surprise, but I thought he would be a big component of this game. He was wonderful in the early going, and strangely enough, Karius was in the early going. His confidence was. But I also want to give a big thumbs up to Varane. I thought he was magic as well. But like Phil said, the 4 central defenders.
Outstanding.
World
Oh,
class.
brilliant stuff. OK, the Locker Room Awards is back very soon as we pick out and decorate the season's best. We'll be putting the votes out to you. You can have your say because voting's now open on Twitter. Follow us at beIN Sports USA. We'll be releasing daily polls on different categories. Now we've talked the good, now it's time for the bad. How will Loris Karius deal with the aftermath? Was there any malice in Sergio Ramos' challenge? And just how big a miss was the Egyptian star Mo Salah in this final? Welcome back to the Locker Room. Liverpool keeper Loris Karius' nightmare night has arguably been the biggest story coming out of Saturday's final. The 24-year-old paid dearly for his 2 mistakes, and we'll get to his mindset next. But first, let's focus on his errors. Phil, you were on the call for this one. When Karim Benzema was able to score that goal, so many people in the room with us guys watching were stunned.
Well, you take a look at it, and nowadays, I guess the closest example to describe this is goalkeeper's trying to throw it away, someone just stands in front of him, maybe hops to the left or the right to block. And that was the argument for Liverpool. They thought that Karim Benzema was impeding the release. But if you actually take a look at the advice to the referees, he was not. He did not get in the way of the direction. He waited until the ball was released, and it was in his general direction, where he was headed. So I think you have to give a lot of credit to Milorad Mazic, the referee, for allowing that, and his 6 assistants as well for not calling that one off. But I also think in many ways that lingered in his head. And even though he came back and made a couple of good saves in the half, that was there. And when Gareth Bale took that shot, I mean, that's the real concern for me, Gary Baily, is the first mistake was mental. Maybe some referees might have even saved him. The second one was just pure tactical.
Phil, I found the whole thing unforgivable. And I don't think Klopp or anyone could make head nor tail of it, because with Benz in front of you, you do not roll the ball out. You don't do it when you're playing in U6 or U8. You simply throw it over his head or with one hand. So the fact that he even tried to do it, I'm looking at that going, why would you try? Where's your head? And Ray, you picked it out. You said that one of these goalkeepers will decide that. I never thought Karius could crack under pressure. He cracked. He cracked completely on the first goal, and then on the second, what you do as a keeper when you made a mistake is you stick to basics. You get your hands careful, you get your head behind the ball. He got sloppy, he misread it, and made a second error. Phil, you're also an ex-keeper. I have never in my life seen a keeper
just a few levels below. Well, maybe not.
I've never seen a goalkeeper make 2 bad errors in a big game. I've seen very rarely 1, but to do 2 like that, I've never seen it, never heard it, and I think everyone was too stunned to even comment on it.
You know what? I think he qualifies for an English passport, considering, was it Robert Green, Paul Robinson, David James, David Seaman, Scott Carson. Although Neville Southall did say, I mean, don't throw him away yet. Because as a goalkeeper, and you can attest to this, Gary, it's how you react. How do you respond to disaster?
He's been thrown away at Liverpool already. He will never, I don't think he'll ever play for Liverpool again.
Listen,
He's gone.
We've got to move on to talk about Mohamed Salah. And before we get to how he was injured, let's first speak about how his absence affected the side once he'd gone off, Thomas.
Huge. I mean, 9 shots in the first 30 minutes with Salah. Only 4 the next 60 minutes. That sums it up. And I think that Salah not just was only involved in the build-ups, in taking people on, but he drew fouls as well. By the way, the Ramos tackle should have been a foul, maybe not a yellow. No intent, though, in terms of trying to injure the player. But Salah's absence was huge. And all of a sudden, Real got control of the ball. Obviously, you know, your star player goes out, so it looked like the team was a little deflected. All of a sudden, Alexander wasn't able to go forward as much. And also, Marcelo ends up with 2 assists as well. And that's on Salah's side right there, that battle, because Salah can keep him honest. Now he had to free him to roam forward, especially when Bale came in the second half. So a huge, huge loss for Liverpool.
He has tweeted out on Sunday, actually, that he does expect to be in the World Cup. So that's really good news, and we do hope to see him there for Egypt. We're just going to take a look at that tweet for you, because that's what everybody was a little bit worried about. There you are. It was a very tough night, but I'm a fighter despite the odds. I'm confident that I'll be in Russia to make you all proud. Your love and support will give me the strength I need. Now, let's move on to Real Madrid captain Sergio Ramos, who's come under a lot of criticism for some of his actions in the game, not least that challenge on Salah, which injured the Liverpool star. But was there any malice in the foul, Ray?
Not for me. Not for me at all. I mean, he's got the reputation, the record in Spanish football for having red cards and yellow cards. This man is a warrior. This is the type of player that you need in games like that. I don't think there was any malicious intent at all. In fact, it was Salah that came across first. Then it was a tangle of arms, the 2 roll, 2 degrees of separation, and he would have rolled. But he gets hammered into the ground by his fall because of the 2 of them connected. Whether or not Ramos is holding on to him, but hey, listen, this isn't dancing school. This isn't flipping dancing school. There's a war going on. He's playing against arguably the best forward in the world. Sergio Ramos says, he ain't getting away from me. You might not like it, but that's the real world. That's the way the big boys play. And they can cut it any which way you like. He's done it time and time again. He does it in La Liga. He does it for the national team of Spain. This is a defender. This is one of those players that you look at in your locker room, you think they ain't going to get past him. And he did it. Now, I don't think it was intentional at all. And I think it was very unfortunate. And I feel sorry for Salah and I feel sorry for Liverpool. And Phil and I said this in live time. This is an absence away from the game. We all lost because you want all the best players. But there was, for me, it was accidental. Rio Ferdinand, Steven Gerrard said it the same. Andy Robertson said this wasn't the thing that decided the game. We all know where it was. But Ramos, magical for me.
0 fouls over 90 minutes against Sergio Ramos. When there was the last time he
drew 3 fouls himself.
And that's just incredible. And listen, his reputation, people say he's a mercenary. I agree with Ray and with Gary Baily. I'll take him on my team as a guy right there any day of the week.
And interesting, you make the point, Ray. I don't think Salah going off loses Liverpool. It reduces their chances. It doesn't lose it. It's the goalkeeper errors. Take them away, and Liverpool come out of this 1-1, and maybe injury time, extra time,
even after
penalties.
The first error, they responded.
Even there. So they took away their big chance to win it, but that's not why they lost it.
Can you imagine the Kop with their type of humour? Is it going to be calamitous, carious, or is it going to be precarious?
He ain't going to be there, right?
It's post-carious now.
All right. The Extra this week will be breaking down much of it, as it has done tonight. Also, we'll be doing so Tuesday through to Friday with Kevin Egan and Jeremy St. Louis. All the soccer news you need to know. But stick around here, because both Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale made some questionable comments after the game. We respond to them and look at their future when we come back. Welcome back to the locker room. Now, in response to the question, this winning project with you spearheading it needs to continue, to Cristiano Ronaldo. After the game, he said, right now, I need to enjoy this moment. Later, in the coming days, I'll give an answer to fans who've always been at my side. It's been really wonderful to be part of Real. In the next few days, I'll talk more, okay? Now, he was criticised for saying this afterwards on the pitch. I will say he was pushed by the reporter who did ask him on his future. He said afterwards he admitted it wasn't the right time to talk, but that something is going to happen.
Listen, sometimes, you know, players of that sort of ilk, you know, maybe get lost. He didn't have a good game. We have all this show, we haven't even touched on Ronaldo, and it was supposed to be him that was going to be one of the big tipping points. He was a non-factor. I mean, really had a poor game.
Well, at least till the fan tackled him at the end. So.
He had a poor game, and there's no denying that. And there's no disgrace in it because he played his part as a threat the whole game.
Got them
but
there.
it wasn't his name. But that wasn't the time to come out and say, you know what, I'm going to be thinking about it. And there's a celebration there. I was
is it any
disappointed.
worse than what Gareth Bale said? I mean, the spotlight is on Gareth Bale, and he says, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. I just want to play more.
Well, you can understand that a lot more than what Cristiano said.
Cristiano could be business. He's a good businessman. It's a good time to say, hey, I need
But
to
you know
be
what he
more
says?
money.
It's not
On a night like that, Gary,
he says he has enough
on a
money.
night like that, Gary Baily, if your
a few
teammate
European
did that,
Champions Leagues, he has done that. He's always
if
said,
your teammate had done that, what would you do?
It's Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well,
Always.
here you go.
No, but
So
it's
then
what
it's all
Sergio Ramos
accepted,
said.
yeah.
What Sergio Ramos came out and said, and Thomas, you've been there, he's got to clarify himself, and he's got to do it quickly.
But is there more to it? Are they finding out that there's a certain player coming in at Real Madrid, and this is why he's speaking out now?
I think that has something to do with it. Ultimately, let's face it, every president of the world could talk to him. Zidane will make the ultimate decision. And Zidane in the last 3 years has been cutthroat in terms of making his team selections. Same team, by the way, that started 2 years ago. A year ago, started again. Same 11 in the last two finals against Juve and here. And 7 or 8 guys played in 2013 as well. This might be a time where Zidane says, you know what? I need to make a change.
The time is right.
One big guy will go, and Neymar is our focus and our future.
Do you know who's going? I reckon it's Gareth Bale. I think after what he said about I want to play, he is going.
But that's
and Ray is going to end up at Manchester
That's
United.
Florentino Perez's guy. He's the one that signed Bale. He didn't sign Ronaldo.
Quickly, can I just say, poor Karius, in a 90-year life that we all hope to have, a life defined in 90 minutes, and that poor man had it.
Well, they like to say you'll never walk alone, except for Karius. He has to start walking
recover,
away.
right? It's like every other goalkeeper. He's got to pick himself up and
What about
recover.
Jurgen
That's it.
Klopp? 5 losing finals now.
Oh, my God.
Well, he won his first cup, and he's lost, what, 7 in a row since?
But you know what? There's a blueprint there. I love the way they play. There's energy all the time. It's not technically sophisticated. Well done, Liverpool.
What a final it was. Well done, Liverpool. Well done, Real Madrid. And well done to all of you for watching us here on The Locker Room. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again on Friday. Bye.
Prediction? Bale?